Thank you for joining us today. We've got a very exciting topic and some great speakers on the panel, so let's jump right into it. I'm joined today by Riccardo Danelli and Prasan Shah, who are both partners in PwC's People and Organization team. Also with us is Patrice Capello, who is the head of Global Professional Business Services Go-to-Market at Workday. Thank you all for taking the time and being with us today. Now, today we'll be discussing the challenges faced by those in the services industry and how best to respond to them. Now, what makes the services industry so unique is that people are the very heart of your business. Not only are they the engine that makes things go, but they're also the product or the deliverable of your business. Now, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that the world is changing and we live in uncertain times. Now, this has always been the case, though, right? Nothing new there. Firms have always been dealing with the struggles of how to adapt and react to change and uncertainty. However, what is new is that both the pace and the impact of those changes has increased. And this magnifies the struggles that firms are dealing with and also shortens the window in which they have time to react. So, in that backdrop, let me ask my first question to both Prasan and Ricardo. Given the changes that are always happening, what are some of the current trends that you're seeing in the professional services industry? Prasan, I'll turn things over to you first.
Sure. So thanks, Charlie. I think you kind of said it in your opening that people are at the heart of the professional services industry. And this is probably why we see one of the biggest impacts and shifts in this industry. And how you design the right experience for employees, hence in this industry, becomes really, really critical. And I think that there are quite a handful number of reasons behind this. I would say disruption in the business model in the professional services industry, primarily because of technology shifts, but also because of shifts in how our clients are buying, so shifts in buying patterns. But more importantly, a shift because of how we are designing and configuring work in itself. We are already sort of beginning to talk about this idea of work as a service, which essentially means we need to start matching what I call individual consumption patterns and preferences of employees to work. And we are beginning to see a clear shift towards what I'd like to call a preference-based experience economy in this professional services industry. And the way this is beginning to manifest itself is a range of things, starting from work preferences to career models, where we are beginning to see a breakdown of traditional models to a much more experience-based, non-traditional career model.
All right, excellent. Yeah, that's fascinating. I think this look at it from an experiences perspective. It's very intriguing, and looking at it from preferences. So, yeah, thank you for that. Ricardo, how about you? Anything in terms of types of current trends that you're seeing in the industry?
Yeah, and definitely aligned with what Prasoon was saying, and also with what you mentioned at the beginning, Charlie. I think the only comment that I would add to that is that in order to design this experience, this preference-based pattern, is customer. We need to put customer at the center of this design. We need to understand what is the customer experience that we need to deliver to our clients. And in this period, this is becoming even more critical than it was in the past. I'm referring to the fact that it's not about are not about delivering just a product or a pre-configured service. It's about helping clients to deal with uncertainty, helping clients to solve their issues, understand their issue. It's all about relationship, and it's all about experience, which is the vehicle for that relationship. And so I think we really have to change this into our mind and change this into the way in which we do our businesses. In more practical terms, I always say to our clients, and I think this is valid also for every professional service organization, that we need to design at the same time customer journeys, customer experience, and employee experiences, and put this core at the center of our transformation. So the transformation that we are helping into our clients is the same transformation that we are living and that we have to live internally, I think.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is such an interesting perspective, right? Because it's, like you said, it's really no longer just about the actual deliverable, but the experience that your customer's having, but also probably equally as important, right? As Prasan had mentioned, it's that experience that your employees, your people are having as well. So let's dive into that a little bit more. So in terms of that experience, right, and the preferences, the matching, as you had mentioned, Prasan, I'm wondering, is this, how do you actually get that? Like, what is that attribute? What is the thing about experience, right, in terms that we're looking for? Can you tell us a little bit more about how we would go about, actually making those types of matches, and what that experience really is?
So in its simplest term, and in practice it probably isn't that simple, it is about distilling and boiling this down to its lowest common denominator, which is skills. And that's kind of why I like to think that skills is the new currency. Now, I talked about this idea of breakdown of traditional linear career models, where what our employees are asking for and what I think is relevant for also our clients is a career model inside professional services firms which allows people to have non-linear, non-traditional career pathways, a bit like jungle gyms. So where you are in a job, not for that job, but to gain an experience, and you move on and get the next experience, and your career track is a conglomeration of a set of experiences which you bring to bear. And that's why we think professional services firms need to reinvent themselves in how they structure their internal practices, policies, and models. And fundamental to that is skills. And skills, one thing I'm a big believer of is we're not going to be able to protect jobs. But what we can do is equip our people with the right skills so that they can protect themselves. And this is more true than ever in our industry, given the half-life of skills is fundamentally shortening by the day.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like that analogy of the jungle gym. It feels like work because often I'm in a jungle or climbing a jungle gym at work. So actually, one of the things that sort of strikes me though is that it's this collection of experiences, collection of skills, as you mentioned, right? And it's really sort of no longer as easy as just saying this job title, right? Like I'm a good fit for this because of my job title, because of that type of a thing. Patrice, I'm wondering, any thoughts around, how do we deal with those types of struggles in that it is this collection of skills that come from all of these different types of experiences. And then also the other thing that strikes me is what Prasan was mentioning about the half-life, right, of skills, and how sort of that really is just rapidly increasing. And so how do we keep on top of those types of things? Any thoughts you can share with us on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm chuckling because I may be dating myself, but back to the late 90s, I was talking to professional services firms about skills and factoring in career development and career path, softer things when they're making assignments. And, that was highly aspirational back then. But I would say, and that's where people want to be, and just the things that Ricardo and Priscilla are saying. But I think, it has to first start with being able to understand the skills that you do have. And most firms have not put the rigor into the process of really figuring out what they do have today. Right. So how do you plan for the future when you don't even know what you do have? So I think it's exciting to see firms saying this is a huge area. This is the currency, are the skills. We need to invest in best practices to try to keep track and keep that information fresh of the skill sets we have. And then if we see demand for, coming from externally from customers or clients, how do we build for those skill sets? And so once you know what you have, right, then you start to make the determination of how do we build those skills, either internally through experience or learning or both, or do we go out and acquire those skills? And I like what you said, Prasan, about the shelf life. I mean, as we see, even just from technical skills, it's an easy example to see how rapidly things change, and keeping those skill sets current is a challenge. But I go back to the fact that the value for a firm is understanding who you have today and then being able to plan based on that for the customer experience.
Yeah, and Patrice, if I may build on what you said, I think there are two kind of key themes that stood out for me there. This idea of predictability, i.e., know what you have to be able to then inventorize it and then be able to predict, and then pivot. So predict and pivot based on what the incoming demand is, and to do both of those, fundamental building blocks are you need to know who you have, what you have, and be able to boil it down to the what I call the lowest common denominator, which is actually more than just the people, but the skills that they bring to the table.
Yeah. And I also wanted to just maybe throw in there as well. I see, this great opportunity to be able to apply technology into here, like machine learning, to really help you understand what skills do you have. Because I think we talk about that, but it's really, I don't think that easy of a question to answer even, right? Like you want to be able to know what that is, but how can we use technology to help us? And it's about sort of aggregating all this data, right? Having a system help you and do that work for you to serve up suggestions of different types of skills that you may not even know that you have right within your organization, but based off of those types of suggestions. So as a technology type person, that's very exciting to me. Yeah. All right, excellent. Let's see. My next question is going to be actually around to see if you could offer any tips, any best practices, any advice to those that are watching this, right? How do services firms deal with so much change and uncertainty? I think we touched on it a bit, but if you wouldn't mind putting a little bit more detail behind it. Are there ways to get more predictability into your business? So Patrice, maybe I'll start off with you. Is there anything that you can share with us, given your experiences, given what you've seen out in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fundamental element of predictability is having a solid understanding of your business, right? So in order to be able to spot trends, see things that are happening externally and be able to react to those, is understanding what you have. And I see, as it relates to not just skills and resources, but also client demand, right? And are there trends happening and what clients are looking for? Like to your point earlier, Hassan, about the consumption patterns changing. And so I think to me, it's all about understanding what you have to be able to then start predicting based on trends that are potentially emerging through the reporting and analytics. And what most firms struggle with today, and I get to talk to leaders across professional services firms around the globe, and many struggle with this today, is that information is locked in different areas of their business. And so how do you make a good, informed, and confident decision, whether it's about resource investment, whether it's about acquiring another company for skill sets, or, whether it's around client satisfaction and what's our total relationship with our customer look like, bringing that all together and then being able to have confidence that it's showing you the right picture of where you are today, I think is so critically important. And it's not just because I focus on technology in my career, but you see what good looks like when you go out there and talk with the business leaders who have implemented the processes and have that insight into their business because there's confidence in the data that's surfacing up, either trends or things that need to be addressed. So that to me is number one, is you've got to get to a place where you trust the information and you unlock it for all of the business leaders cross-functionally to make decisions for the business.
Great, thank you, thanks. Ricardo, any insights, any sort of pearls of wisdom that you could offer up?
A couple of comments, let's say like that. The comment is this one. I think what Patrice is saying is absolutely right. We need more information. We need the ability of pulling this information together and have insights coming from this information. And we need to get predictability out of the information that we have. I think this is absolutely right. On the other hand, I think it will never be enough. The story of these days, of these months, as you mentioned also, Charlie, at the beginning, is the one of an increase of depth and pace and intensity of the change that we are living. And I think we will never be able to predict all the changes ahead of us. And I'm referring this in particular to, of course, the market of the professional services, where at the end of the day, what counts is the relationship with your customer and the ability of bringing the best skills and the best value that you possibly can to your clients. For example, we have been working a lot into reorganizing all of our services around the value for our clients, no matter where our skills are. We have been working in increasing and improving the experiences of our customers, as we mentioned earlier. But I think that what stays behind this is not just a collection of skills, it's a change in the mindset and what I call agility. No, we need to have an agile mindset while we go on the market, while we design our services or our product for our customers, and we need to be able to change very quickly and very rapidly our direction according to the context and according to the feedback. We have to be able to listen to the feedback. We have to be able to have a better and deeper relationship in a shorter period of time with our customers. So we need to do all the things that we have always been taught to do, but we have to do it better, more quickly, and again, in a more agile way. And the second comment is that if you imagine what this means for a professional services organization, this means a deep change of your internal way of working. In particular, Prasoon said some very interesting thing about skills and about how these skills are developed. And in order to enable agility, you need to have people who are skilled, but who are able to design their own careers. You need to have a people-based career model and a people development model. So you need to have something which is consistent with this agile word, starting from the development of each individual himself. So I think this is more or less what's happening.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. Yeah, lots of great tips in there. I think so. In closing, maybe I'll just try to recap some of the things that have been brought up today. The changes that in the industry, they're going to continue to happen. They'll always be there. There isn't really any sort of one answer to sort of solve that, but rather it's a combination, it's a balance of many things, right? Successful firms have shown that they're able to react quickly to those changes, as Ricardo mentioned, to be agile. As Patrice had brought up, right, the more you know about your people, right, the better able you are to adapt and build that predictability into your business. And then also sort of the importance of experiences, of skills, both for your employees, your people, but as well for your customers. These are all key aspects of how to really be successful in this changing and uncertain times. Great. So I do want to take a minute here and say thank you to Ricardo, Prasoon, Patrice. Thank you all so much for your time and your wonderful insights.
Thank you, Charlie. That was fun.
Yeah, my
Yeah, it
pleasure.
was. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You can tell we're all very passionate about the topic.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think we could spend another hour, I think, talking about this. But I think what you guys have provided has been very valuable as well. So thank you for that. And this, for everybody watching, I hope you found this session to be informative and engaging. And thank you for your time. So thank you and have a great day.
Looking forward to the next session, of course.
Absolutely.